In the late 70s, my parents divorced when I was 5 years. I lived with my father and his new wife, who hated me. I would visit my mom and her new husband on weekends. My mom wasn't allowed to give me clothes to take home and she wasn't allowed to cut my hair. I was usually dirty when I'd go with her. My step-monster and dad were physically and mentally abusing to me. I was beat regularly, not allowed to use the bathroom, and padlocked in my room often. At 7 years old, this particular visit with my mom, my step-monster told me to steal money from my mom's purse, cut off my very long hair, and run away in the middle of the night. My mom lived in Illinois at the time and a highway was near her apartment complex. I was terrified to do what my step-monster told me, but I knew if I didn't, I'd be beaten. That night, I fell asleep and woke up before 6 a.m., the daylight just starting to rise. I panicked. I got up, cut off my long hair, got dressed and ran away. I walked through the apartment complex, crying. I walked to the highway and just started walking and crying. Cars and trucks just passed by, seeing this little girl all alone before 7 a.m. Then a man pulled over and stopped. He got out of the car to talk to me and asked me why I was alone. He put me in his car and we drove to a payphone and he called police. We waited for police. When the officer arrived, he said goodbye to me. I remember him being very sweet and kind to me. The officer, whom I remember being not very kind, asked me where I lived. He drove to the apartment complex and asked me which apartment. Because I only visited on weekends, I wasn't totally sure which apartment it was. We went to 2 different apartments and the people coming to the door seemed horrified when asked if I was theirs. I remember the officer being annoyed with me and told me if I couldn't remember where I lived, I'd be going to a place I didn't want to be. I was already scared and that made it worse. The next apartment, I finally got right. My mom answered the door. She was frantic. The officer left me with my sad, crying mom. Mom took pictures of me. She called her lawyer and he told her I had to be returned to my father, she couldn't just keep me. I remember begging my crying mom not to take me back as I knew what was coming. I hadn't succeeded at running away, but I had the $3 I took from my mom's purse. Maybe that was enough not to be beat. I wouldn't be until a couple visits later that my eye was beaten so badly, my mom took me to the hospital. She called police, she in the hospital, and police took pictures of me beaten. My mom told police she would not take me back to my father and that it would put her in violation of a court order with my father. The police were on mine and my mom's side. I would ultimately not ever have to go back to my father and step-monster. He gave up all rights to me in exchange for not being charged with child abuse.